Welcome back to Georgina Life. So are you confused about how to get a mortgage, what a mortgage is, what a stress test is, all of that stuff? Well, look no further. You are in the right place because today with me, I have two very special guests. We have David Metherall, broker. Team Metherall. I love that. And we've got Stephen Boileau. And you are a mortgage broker.
Yes, I am.
And you are with?
Real Mortgage Associates.
Real Mortgage, I love that. So you're the best people to have on the show that other people can actually learn stuff from, because so many people are confused about mortgages and what you need to get one. And the climate is really weird out there.
Yes, it is.
It's a very interesting market we're in right now, that is for sure. The one thing, ever since I got into the industry, it's always about educating yourself and knowing what you need to do so that it's not a stressful time when you're buying a home. Right? The house itself, you've got a lot of emotions going on. You want to stay as organized as you can during the process, and at the end of the day, it's not that hard. So it really comes down to needing the right paperwork and asking the questions. Again, dealing with the professional that knows what they're talking about. We're here to help guide you through the whole process at the end of the day, right? We're here to hold your hand. We don't want you to stress out.
Well, there's so much stress. I mean, and speaking of stress, we were talking about the stress test, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I'd heard about it, but not really understanding what it means. What is the stress test that people are talking about?
Well, the stress test, basically how it works is that when you qualify for a mortgage, instead of qualifying based on your percentage of income with the actual interest rates of the day, the system is set up that we actually qualify at a higher interest in order to make sure that it cushions you for what's just happened, which is a huge increase in the marketplace. So it allows you to qualify for today's rates in the mortgage, but position yourself for a safety net in case the rates do go up, which we currently have seen.
Oh boy, have we ever?
Yeah, we certainly did.
Ever. And I mean, when you think about it, the process for getting a mortgage has really changed. I mean, the last house I bought was 22 years ago, and I'm sure is way different now. And I know that we've got a visual about what you need these days to obtain a mortgage, because it's up on the screen now, and it's a little more complicated, I think, than it used to be, right?
It sounds complicated, but really it's not. At the end of the day, when it comes down to, if you end up bringing us all this paperwork in one package, we will have essentially your life snapshot there and then. Nice. We can make out everything that we need to know, and then we can decide, okay, how is this deal going to work for you? And at the end of the day, when it comes to getting a mortgage, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Everyone has their own scenario and their own paperwork that they'll have to bring. This little list here gives you a good guideline on, if you come to me with all this information, I will be able to put up an application together, and I will be able to make an informed decision to help guide you and say, okay, this is where you're going to land with the mortgage, and this is how it's going to look, right?
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's fairly straightforward. We need ID, obviously. With COVID, a lot of the stuff's become virtual, so proper identifications. Health cards do not count as identifications, for one. So that's why we say government issue, driver's license, passport, things like that.
Right.
We're looking for consistency. Like, everyone's got a story. If you're self-employed, we know you might not tax yourself the same way as someone with a job letter and a pay stub, but there's always ways to work around it. Okay, so again, we want to know your story, and by getting this type of documentation together, we can kind of put it together and know what we're going to do with it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody's story is different, so.
Exactly, and we have clients that are working with us who may not be first-time buyers. They just might be thinking about upgrading their house or downsizing in their house, or just refinancing the house. So when they come to us, one of the reasons why we want to continue to visit your show is to create education. So the key parts of real estate is, of course, getting a mortgage to buy a property, but understanding how that is. And and you mentioned about the market changing. It really does change, and it changes often. But the interest rates, blasted all over the media has created a lot of fear. Like, my gosh, I may never be able to buy a house.
Yes.
Well, that may not be the case. So we invite people to contact us, call us, our past clients call us, and we introduce them to a mortgage broker and prepare them for the information that they need to get a mortgage.
Right.
And that way, maybe you won't qualify today, but at least you'll know what it takes to qualify and what you need to do, and then it gives you something to work towards.
Right. Well, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've come across that people have, asked you about and they're confused? What are some of the challenges that you've
Well, I think that from where our perspective is that the biggest challenge a lot of times, and particularly with first-time buyers, is that it seems like they've been misled, or what they believe may not be the actual truth. It's not that difficult to qualify for a mortgage. I've had clients where you were turned down, for a car loan, but you qualify for a mortgage. So it really is a different process, and we use professionals like Stephen, and we hand deliver them over, give them an idea what they need to provide, and then Stephen can place them, because there is such a thing as an A, a B, and a C lender. So if you're, you might not qualify to get with one of the big three banks, but there might be a trust company that you fit right into their lending criteria. So it's a little different perspective based on each client.
Exactly, right? So again, it's extremely important to have a good relationship with your clients, for one, but that's why I love the consistency. And one thing I try and remind all clients is we're here to help you. We work with the real estate teams together. We work with the lawyers, and we want to have a cohesive team, because if everyone's working together, it makes the process that much easier.
Right.
And when it comes down to all these different types of lending, everyone thinks, well, if I get a mortgage, it's only with a bank. That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
So there are options for people who, well, I didn't know this was possible, and this is where we have that conversation, and we speak the truth when it comes to it, right? So at the end of the day, the hardest thing is misleading people. We do not want to mislead anyone. And if you have an option available to you, we will tell you. If there's not, then we'll tell you what you need to do to get to that point.
Well, see, that's so important, because some people will say, well, I don't want to get into a situation where, 6 months down the road, I can't afford this mortgage.
Right.
Where do I go?
Yeah.
And how do I extricate myself from this situation? But I guess you're right. It's got to be tough to kind of tell them.
It's easy to be able to if you really want to get a mortgage and that's your end goal, of course that can get done.
Right.
But our goal is to make sure that you keep your house, you're comfortable with your payments, and at the end of the day, you're not allocating your whole salary to your mortgage payment. You can still live the life that you want to live without being overly stressed about your household expenses.
And the trick is that, as a team with our real estate team, with Team Metherall, and Stephen as a mortgage broker, we try to educate people. You might qualify for $1 million, but we don't recommend you go to your peak. Try to buy within your comfort zone, so you're not, the old saying about being house poor.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to be able to go to a movie with your family. We want you to be able to, put your kids in soccer, or donate to the food pantry,
Right.
As well as pay for your mortgage payments. So
Love it.
it's important just to understand, and we do believe that education is key, and providing.
Where do people go for more information?
Well,
Glad you asked. Well, you can go to our website for one, www.rmagroup.ca. That is our main website. We do have a Facebook page as well, RMA Group CA. Everything's fairly simple. My number, I believe, is going to be on the screen as well. That is my direct line.
Perfect.
If anyone does have
Gotta
any
catch you up.
questions.
I know everything's up there. People are going to find you. And Georgina, please don't go away. We have so much more on today's Georgina Life.